Hello everybody, welcome back to Expedition Homestead. I hope you are having an incredible day. Today's video is going to be a much longer form content than we usually put on the channel. So if you're an OG of the channel, you're especially going to love this video. We're going to be going through all the different projects and stuff we've got going on in the backyard here. Being early spring, I don't have to tell you, we are extremely busy. There's a lot of stuff going on. So today's going to be a really fun video for you to see the overall scope of everything we've got, from the vegetable gardens to our fruit trees, willow trees, and perennial flowers as well. We've got a bunch of bulbs going in too, so if that's your thing, stick around for today's video. It's going to be a blast like always. First things first, if you're new to the channel, I'd greatly appreciate it if you could subscribe, hit that thumbs up if you enjoy today's video. Again, it's going to be a little bit different than usual, but it's going to be a lot of fun. I don't even know where to start. I guess let's start with the vegetable garden real quick. I'll go through all of the plants that we have going right now. Then I'll talk about the plants that we have growing downstairs currently, and then the seeds that we're about to start in the garden as well. Today's video is also going to be, I think, a good chance to show you guys that we live busy lives too. I mean, we've got the 3 kids, 5 years old, 2 years old, almost 3, and our youngest just turned 1. So we've got toys all over the place. They're back here in the backyard as much as possible because they love being outside. So, you know, things get messy every once in a while, especially in the springtime. And that's okay. It goes to show that we're out here enjoying the yard and everything it has to offer. What is that thing in the grass? What is this?
Cactus.
Yeah, Wisconsin cactus. That's what we call that around here. Wisconsin yard cactus.
And yuck and naughty.
Yeah, they are naughty. We'll have to get our weed picker to get that thing out, right?
So, what we do is this, and put it right there, and push it down.
Yep.
And then
Twist and pull it up. Pull it up. There. Now what?
You do this.
Nice.
Hey, Dad.
Good job.
That's how you get cactus. The big cactuses are in the desert are bigger than this, and we can't use this on the big ones that are in the desert, right, Dad?
Right.
Okay. There's the eggs, and I saw. Okay. And here we always get eggs. And chicken coop.
Any eggs right today?
Where is any eggs?
Nope, no eggs right now. I will still try and be quick in each of these segments, but you know, I'll leave timestamps down below on each of the different kind of categories that we're going through in today's video in case there's something specific you want to see. So here in the vegetable garden, what we have planted so far is our carrots, our radishes and beets, our salad varieties and lettuces, and then our peas. Of course, we've got our strawberries growing and rhubarb being perennials. But then downstairs in the basement, we have a lot of our seedlings ready to be transplanted within the next few days once we get our nighttime temperatures up a little bit warmer than they are right now. Here in Wisconsin, we are about 3 weeks behind schedule due to the weather, as well as just being extremely busy. But just specifically as far as weather goes, we are several weeks behind compared to last year. We had just about everything in the garden at this point. So it is pretty easy to feel rushed or to feel like we're behind. But you just got to keep in mind that putting plants in too early is going to be far, far more detrimental than being late, because the plants will really take off once the weather warms up. So oftentimes they'll kind of equalize out if you wait a little bit longer compared to going early in the season. They're just not going to do as well. With that being said, though, we do have a lot of stuff growing indoors. We've got our tomatoes, kohlrabi, broccoli, cauliflower, onions. What else? Our peppers also are growing indoors. So there's not a whole lot that's not germinated or growing currently that's going to be put in the garden, except for stuff that we're succession planting, and then our beans as well, and then our zucchini, sunflowers, and then our ornamental flowers and herbs, stuff like that. So talking about the succession planting really quick, I will have a video on it later, but what I'm talking about is our beets and radishes. At some point, something came through here and dug up a bunch of our seedlings that we had just planted. So now our seeds are spread throughout the whole area. They're kind of really intermittent as well. So what I'll be doing is in the spots where we don't have seeds growing and germinating, now it's been about 4 weeks later, 3 weeks later, we're gonna be planting more seeds. So here we're gonna take some bad consequences of an animal and turn it into something good by extending the harvest time that we have on our beets and radishes here in this garden bed. We've got our tomato trellises that we're gonna get prepped. They just need to be sturdied up a little bit more. We had some really high winds come through last year, and with 9-foot tall tomato plants, they had quite a bit of weight. So there's some cracking up on like the 1x1s that we had. So we're gonna take care of that. We've already cleaned up our cucumber trellis. This did really well last year, so we're gonna keep that design. And then the same thing with our bean trellis down there. It's also just gonna stay as is. Last thing we'll talk about in terms of vegetables in today's video is gonna be our tomato buckets. We've got to clear all these out. These were a great success. We got hundreds and hundreds of tomatoes last year, so it was incredible. And then we've got our squash patch as well. So this needs to be, I'll probably just reapply a new layer of weed barrier on top of this. And yeah, it also did really well. So I like this patch because I had to do 0 weeding for this big, large area, which would have been quite a bit of a pain to do if I had not had this barrier on top of it. And eventually we might turn this into a new gardening space, or perhaps get some perennial fruits or vegetables here in this space instead of the squash patch. But we do really like having the space for the squashes. All right, on to this messy spot. This is our chicken coop. So our chicken coop needs to be cleaned out. Hi, ladies. Chicken coop needs to be cleaned out for the springtime. This stuff builds up over the winter. Right now we've got about like 3-4 inches basically at compost at this point, which is what it's going to turn into.
And also we have 6.
Yeah, we got 6 chickens. So keeping that in there helps with the insulation value, keeps it nice and warm, and then that stuff can kind of break down on the floor. For all I care, it's really not going to make much of a difference for the chickens during the winter months. But before it heats up in the summer, we've got to get it all out of there. Otherwise, it'll cause issues with the chickens. Next, we'll talk about our willow trees. This is our big weeping willow that we took as a cutting last year. So really all of this stuff from this point down was our cutting. And then you can see we've got some growth here. Like some of this stuff is about 5 feet long that all grew in within last season. So we'll go through all of our other willow trees. This is our big weeping willow, and then we've got some curly willows and basket weaving willows. Our next video that's specifically on weeping willow is going to be this right here. We're going to take off this bottom branch and take a cutting of that and show you all how to propagate it, in case you haven't seen my other willow propagation videos. They're just so much fun to grow. So then our basket weaving willows are right here. So again, we've got about a foot of growth down at the bottom of these. They are branching out all over the place. They don't look like much right now, but as soon as this weather starts warming up and we start watering them and give them a quick fertilizer for the springtime, they're gonna shoot up out of the ground. We're gonna get a lot of cuttings off of these this year, so very happy that they're doing well. You can see them, they're budding out and everything. Very, very nice, love it. And these have kind of been my little experiment to see what ones I could grow in smaller containers and then leave them outside without bringing them in. You know, usually you would think that they would die back completely if they were in these containers, because of how cold it gets, you know, negative 20 degrees in a container without any of the warmth from the earth, like they're just absolutely frozen. But still, weeping willows and curly willows did just fine in here. The ones that didn't do well were the curly willows, but a lot of the weeping willows grew back perfectly fine. Now I've got some fruit trees to show you, as well as our elderberry trees.
We have a maze there, and I'm trying to get the ball all the way over there with that blue ball.
With the standing water here. Because the city did a really good job at planting this spot right here that fills up with water every time it rains.
Yeah.
But that's why we got willow trees growing, right? Let's get some more willow trees down here, huh?
Yeah, we need willow trees here because it always gets a pond.
Yeah.
And the willow trees are doing this.
Okay, so we've got a few pear trees and a few apple trees. Small, like they're not going to produce fruit for a while yet, but I figure that's something I want to do early on when we move to the property, even though this is still just going to be a little temporary home until we get our actual homestead. But nonetheless, wine sap apple here. It's going to do really well. It's got a very nice formation here, as you can tell how it branches off almost horizontally. Once we get some weight on these from the apples and fruit, they're really, really close to horizontal, which is what you want. And then we've got a beautiful main stem growing straight up vertically, and then it continues to branch off. So the form of this apple tree is really, really nice, which is exactly what we want. So again, that's a wine sap apple. Then over on this side, we have our kefir pear. Again, really small. It's going to be a while till it produces fruit, but might as well put in the time now. And up front, we have a Fuji apple and a pink lady apple, I believe. These ones, basically, I'm not going to do any really crazy pruning with them, except for, as you can tell, I've done a couple of spots right here where I have branches growing inwards. So we're just going to encourage as much outward growth as possible, but yet I'm not going to prune off any of these major stems. Like, if I really wanted to, I could take that off there and develop a straight piece, really our main stem from this point. But I think I'm gonna leave it as is so we can just get as much growth out here since it's in the front of the house. This one though, I will be pruning some of these lower branches. As you can tell, they are really, really low. So as this thing grows, I will be taking those off. Because if you haven't seen one of my latest videos, the branches on your tree are not going to get any higher than they currently are right now. So this eventually is going to be in the way when I'm mowing the yard. So we're gonna prune that out, you know. Maybe these big ones, if they're going more upright at first, will be okay, but still needs a lot of pruning on this tree specifically. And last thing in terms of, you know, trees kind of go is all of our elderberries. They exploded with growth last year. We even got a couple of fruit bunches, which was so great for the very first year. I'm very excited to see what they do this year. Nice and healthy. Propagating these bad boys is super easy. Growing them, super easy. If you don't have elderberries on your property, I really highly recommend it. You know, it is a super food, baby. Get those elderberries growing. We've got 4 of them right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we've got 2 more in the backyard growing as well. So we should have plenty for the space that we have here. Now going through our flowers in the front area really quick. We've got echinacea, we've got bleeding hearts, we've got all sorts of daisies, some hardy lavenders, lungwort I think it's called, some sedums, a couple of different phlox that are all coming up. Sorry about all the noise again, you know, this is kind of a really unconventional video. But all kinds of stuff, it's all popping up here. Look at that, do you see the flowers coming up?
Wow.
Right there. Columbine. There's our bleeding heart. It's hard to keep track of all of the different plants you have. Coral bells. I'm also not like amazing with flowers yet. I do plan on learning a lot more because I think they're a lot of fun to grow, and you can do a lot of cool things with flowers that most people don't do. So I think we're going to do some more experimentation. This front bed here, we're going to be planting dahlias in. Actually, right now, let's go ahead and get some dahlias planted in this. This first one is a Dahlia Grande Cancun. So this has really deep, like violet colored flowers. I'll tell you something cool about this planter. I actually got it from work. I'm an electrician by trade. Absolutely love what I do. It's so much fun. But this was an old cable tray, a trough, if you will, that we weren't going to use and we threw out because we figured out a different way to how to do it. And so I took this home, spray painted it black, and it actually fits perfectly here in front of the house. So I thought, you know, what a fun way to reuse this material. So there we have our first couple of flowers. We've got dahlias in there, and then we'll probably plant some more bulbs. It is almost time for bulbs, still yet just a little bit early. We'll probably plant them in like on Mother's Day, which is just a few days away. But as you can tell, you know, that planter is so great, especially considering that it was free. Can't get any better than that. Now we've got some tick seed and sempervivum to plant. One of these tick seeds we're gonna put right here. Fill in that little space there. And our second one, sempervivum, will go
Dad,
one here.
no, we're planting the yellow
One there. One here. Then we've got all this sedum down over here. All right, just to give you a better idea of what we're building here, we've got the sedum, sempervivum, our new tick seed, and keep in mind a lot of our perennials are really small yet. We've got like lamb's foot, our coral bells, phlox over there. So I'm trying to place these in a manner that we won't obstruct those either. But I think our second tick seed is gonna go like back there between our phlox and whatever happens to be planted there. So we've got some flowers right here. We've got phlox there, and then we'll put our new tick seed right in between those, which is kind of next to where our fern is. Now when doing these sempervivum, I'm probably gonna separate them out a little bit. So the single sempervivum I can take into 4 different ones, just to kind of add some more surface area. I'm not doing any fertilizer or anything because I have pretty high quality soil underneath right here. I think they'll do just fine. I will fertilize it a little bit later when I do all of my other flowers. But when transplanting, it's just really important to get a nice solid watering at first. Of course you can fertilize, I'm not telling you not to, but I just don't really have the time to do that right now. Here's the sempervivum that I divided up, and then this one over here I kept by itself, and then we've got the tick seed there. All right, so that's all the flowers we have to plant up here right now. We will be planting many, many more as the season goes on. Basically, as I see perennials that I haven't planted in the garden yet that I think would look really well with the color scheme that we have going on, then we'll buy them throughout the season. And again, give you guys some more short content videos on how to plant them, how to fertilize them, all that kind of stuff. And we've got all kinds of bulbs coming in the next weekend too, this coming weekend for Mother's Day. Usually that's the time when we get everything planted out in the garden, but I'll show you where we're planting them real quick before we go. I also forgot to show you this. This is the cover to that trough that I put succulents in too. These are sedums and sempervivum. So what I did was just drill holes along that in the center. I regret not making the holes bigger because it was kind of hard to get them in there. But basically this is going to serve as a weed barrier so I can mow all along it without having any sort of issue. So just kind of a cool little project there. And this garden bed out front, this is where we're going to have our gladiolas and our dahlias going. So the stuff that we will pick out of the ground and save for next year, those will all be in this garden bed. I think that's all I have time for today. I want to thank you so much for tuning into the channel. Again, stay tuned for all of our normal content, and if you like something like this and are still hanging around, I greatly appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll probably do one of these about maybe every month and a half, or if I get some other stuff going in the garden where I just wanted to do more long form content like this, then I'll just do so. Again, you know, it's not like a high quality professional edited. I've got no microphone on or anything like that. Totally mobile for filming like this. So it's not the usual, but I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Take care.